of the climate is a climate in which people are being taught just to focus on yourself. Don't think about other people. You don't have to think about the poor. You don't have to think about those who are being dealt with unjustly. Don't think about them. Think about yourself. Do your thing. Have a good time.
And that's the era that you were born and raised in. So, there are many
in your generation. There are many young people in your generation who have gotten caught up. And it's all about sex, and it's all about materialism, and it's all about partying, and it's all about having fun, and so on and so forth. Don't be hard on them. Don't be hard on them. These are designed to distract them from what their role is, from what their historical responsibility is. But there has to be a few of you who feel weird. There's a few of you out there who feel kind of weird. You know why? Because you're looking at this foolishness, and you're saying this is foolish. This is nonsense. I have to think about something more important than just what's on TV or the latest fad. I gotta think about something more important than just what can I buy after I get my degree. I gotta think about something more important than just going to the mall. There are some of you out there, the so-called weird ones. You might think you're weird because you see this for what it actually is. You ain't stuck in the matrix. You're seeing this for what it actually is. It's a lie. And what you're trying to do is develop a lifestyle that's more conducive to the truth and justice. Right now, you're weird, but tomorrow, God willing, you will be normal, because the movement is building up again. Because what we had to wait for, not wait for, but kind of wait for, we had to wait for another generation to grow up. Because back during the 60s, many of our people, I'm saying black, white, brown, many of the activists were vamped on. Some of them are even still in prison because of the 60s. I'm talking about still to this day. Some of the activists got burnt out. Some of the activists went into exile. We got hit hard. Our music started changing. It got filthy and nasty. The movies started changing. It was all about the Superfly and the Mac. Pimps and pushers became our heroes. It went from Black Panthers being our heroes to pimps and pushers being our heroes. And the government encouraged the formation of gangs. The government encouraged that. You don't believe me? Read the book Agents of Repression. And when the government talks about, they encouraged the formation of the Crips and the Bloods. They encouraged it. Why? Because those young soldiers would end up fighting each other. Because you're wearing blue and I'm wearing red, instead of joining the Black Panther Party. And once they encouraged the gangs, next thing you know, there were guns in our community. Next thing you know, there were drugs in our community. Look at that mix. Gangs, guns, and drugs. And what started happening? The community, we started putting bars on our windows. We didn't trust each other anymore. This was a concerted effort to stop the movement. To stop the movement. And so what happened? You had to wait for another generation to come up. In the early 80s, when Ronald Reagan was president, the children of the 60s were in their 20s. That's why hip-hop was teaching. When hip-hop first came out, it was teaching. Why? Those were children of the 60s who were in their 20s, their early to mid-20s. And that's why you had the Grandmaster Flashes and the Public Enemies and the KRS-One. Those were children
of the 60s who had come of age. So the 80s was a period of some activism.
And guess what hit? Guess what hit in the 80s?
Crack hit in the 80s. That's right. That's when crack hit in the 1980s.
Why? Because the children of the 60s were in their 20s. We saw Muhammad Ali. We saw the Black Panthers. We saw Dr. King.
We were influenced by that time. And now we were 21, 22, 23.
Now we were ready to get busy. And all of a sudden, crack hit. I'm telling you, now, your turn. Now it's your turn. The movement did not begin or end in the 60s and early 70s. It didn't begin or end there. The movement is now going through another phase. You will be critical in that phase. But if you're high, you can't
participate. If you're high, you can't struggle. They want you to be high. Go back to what they did with the Summer of Love. LSD. Turn on, 2 minutes, cop out. You remember that? LSD, right? They put drugs in the movement.
And all of a sudden, taking drugs became a part of a revolutionary act. Let's use LSD. Let's cop out, and so on and so forth. It killed the movement. And so therefore, we have to understand that as we go through this next phase of the movement, the next phase of the struggle, you young people must first, one, study your history. Know what's going on. Know what used to be. You won't be able to understand what's happening now unless you understand what happened yesterday. You won't understand where to start now unless you understand